Okay, so I think we'll just give it a minute or two to wait until some people come on. Hi, everyone. We're just giving it a minute until some people are starting to trickle in. Great. I see Stephanie here from Atlanta. So welcome everyone to today's workshop. I'm Allie. I'm an InnerPower coach and a movement instructor, and we're really grateful and excited to have you join this InnerPower workshop. And so Chris is just waiting off stage and he'll be on in a few minutes. So just as you're getting settled, we'd love to know where everyone is tuning in from, and you can enter it right into the chat. We're also hosting a leaderboard challenge, which is based on your participation during the workshop. So those who are most engaged in the session, like using the chat function and posting emojis, can win some prizes at the end that will be announced then. So stay as involved and present as you would like until the end. Great. I see Laura tuning in. Yeah, go ahead where you're tuning in from. We're here in Bali, as you can see from my background. We've got Seattle, Australia. Wonderful. Really great. Good. So just get settled and comfortable. If you're set up in a chair, we're going to start with some movement and a little bit of breath work before we dive in here. So the intention of the conscious movement is to get you more focused and more grounded. And this is not only for this workshop, you can actually take these stretches and techniques with you anywhere. So the next time you're working or even out at a co-working space, you have different techniques you can use for stress, for overwhelm, or even when you're feeling like you need a little bit more energy. So just go ahead and find your comfortable seat. Again, we can start to do this even as people are coming in. Everybody, oh, okay, I see Southeastern US from LA, really wonderful. Really have people from across the globe. So go ahead and get set up in your chair. And we're going to start here by some really simple breath work that relaxes the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is responsible for your rest and digest reaction. So we can always work and be in the world a little bit better when we are relaxed and we are in this rest and digest state, especially if we're coming from a more up state. So go ahead and take a deep breath in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then exhale out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then another big inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And out for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can start taking these breaths in your own time of whatever feels natural to you. So maybe you have a really big inhale that's 6 or 7, and then you go out for 12 to 14. So go ahead and close your eyes and do that, breathing in and then exhaling out and seeking to double it. Again, you can count or not count. So really make it your own. Let it feel really good in your body, opening through your chest, maybe sitting up a little bit straighter as you do this. And then counting or estimating out the exhale. Really starting to feel into your body here. Letting this feel good as we land in the air meet, as you land in the space. Just coming into the present moment. Let your breath help you do this. And now let's take the biggest breath you've taken all day, all the way deep into your belly, and hold it at the top for 3, 2, 1, and exhale out. Really nice. And letting something go here. Great. So we're going to come into our movement practices, which again, you can take with you anywhere. So I'm just going to move back so you can get a better view. We're going to start with a seated cat-cow. So on the inhale, you can bring your shoulders back and your chest forward. Big inhale. Maybe you look up at the ceiling or the sky, and exhale out, dome, sending your back towards the back of your chair and your chin towards your chest. Inhale, chest open, shoulders back. Exhale, dome. So starting to do this on your own time. Your hands can be on the sides of your chair. They can be on your knees. And really start to lengthen this. Let it feel good in your body. Even close your eyes. So the nice thing about air meets, nobody can see you on here. You can only see me. And so you're really alone in your space. Maybe you roll your shoulders down your back. And again, just let it feel good. Breathing deeply, big inhales as you open through your chest, and exhaling out. Really nice. Getting your neck involved. So this is turning on the spine along major energy centers of your spine. So if you take Kundalini, this is always a nice warm up for that. Great. And now we're going to open through the side body. So sweeping your arms up, inhale, look up. Exhale, bringing your right arm down and just leaning to the right, opening through the left side of your body. Really either side is fine. And pulling your chin up to the sky. Big breath in. Exhale, stay for the stretch. Another big breath in. Exhale, stay. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, shift to the other side. And again, turning your chin up to the sky or the ceiling, whatever feels good here. And just noticing as you breathe and open up through the side of your body. Full breath in. Exhale out and sway. And inhale, bring your arms back up, looking up. Take a big breath in. Exhale, cactus out through your arms and press your chest forward. Lift your chin up. So this exercise here will open up through your chest. And really, we're hunched over our computers all day. So this is nice to do the counter move to that. And inhale, back up to the sky. Exhale, cactus out your arms. We'll do breath to movement here 2 more times. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, cactus through, leaning back as much as feels good. Final one, inhale up. Exhale, cactus and lean back. Good, really nice. So just shake that out a little bit. You can roll your shoulders up and back. Really nice. And so now we'll do our side twist. So again, inhale, arms come up and twist to the right side of your body, bringing your left arm to either the side of your leg or the side of your chair. And then start to bring your gaze to the back of your room or your space. And as you twist, take a deep inhale. Exhale, twist in a little deeper. Here for 2 more breaths on your own. Again, let this feel good in your body. Can you relax your lower body while you do this? Whew. Little bug there. Big inhale. Exhale out. Sweep your arms back through center. And then same thing on the other side, twisting to the left or the opposite side. And you can just use the chair to twist yourself a little bit more. There's no need to go crazy here. Twist to your ability to where it feels good in your body. And the more you do this, the more you'll get used to these types of movements. And again, this is really easy to do when you're out at a co-working space. It's easy to do in your home office or at your actual office. Final full breath in. Exhale out and come back to center. So now I'm going to give you a stretch and a movement that will bring a little bit more energy into your body as we approach the coming into the presentation from Chris. So go ahead and cactus out your arms again. And on your exhale, twist to the side and then twist, twist. So exhaling out, it's going to sound like this. Going as quickly or slowly as feels good to you. And so we've already stretched out. You can close your eyes here. Not here for long. For 10, 9, 8, 7, big exhales. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming back into the space. We're going to go through all of this again just to get it into our bodies, pairing breath with movement here. So we'll start with the cat-cow. Inhale, chest open, chin back. Exhale, dome. One more time here. Inhale, chest open, shoulders back. Exhale, dome. Now through the side body, inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, swing to the right. Full breath in. Exhale out, arm comes back up. And then other side, looking towards the ceiling or the sky of your space. Inhale, back up. Exhale, cactus your arms open through your chest. And arms come back up. We'll do that again 2 more times here. Inhale, cactus. Exhale, arms come overhead. And inhale, cactus. And exhale, arms overhead. And so we'll twist to the right. And then back through center. And we'll twist to the left. And we'll end with our movement. So cactus out. And then right, left, exhaling out for 5, 4, waking up our bodies, waking up our minds. 3, 2, and 1. Really, really good. So just check in with how you feel here. Checking in with yourself. Great. Good. So now that you're feeling a little bit more clear, focused, and present, Chris will be on in a minute to lead you through the workshop. And in the meantime, just take about a 2-minute break here. We'll put the timer up and you can go ahead and grab a pen and a paper or journal and just make sure you're in a comfortable space without distractions. It's a good time to get some headphones. You can grab a water bottle. So go ahead and do that, and we'll give it 2 minutes, and then we'll welcome Chris. Thanks, everyone, again for joining.
All right. Thank you, Ali, for taking us through those exercises. I participated as well. I do every time before these sessions. They really get you focused. They're simple, but super powerful. So welcome everyone to the InnerPower workshop. We'll be doing this monthly and also as part of a private group experience that we'll be telling you more in detail about later. For now, for those who don't know me, hi, I'm Chris Sirach. I've been a corporate consultant for the last 25 plus years, working for companies like Google, Nike, Adobe, Mercedes, Starbucks, you name it, as well as a lot of smaller companies. And I've taught in higher education for the last 10 years and lectured at places like UCLA, Pixar, NASA. So needless to say, I've been surrounded by high achievers most of my life, people who, like you, who are smart and who want to get ahead in life and make something of it. And working in these high profile environments, you would expect those folks to be happy and accomplished. They've made it, so to speak. You know, the story that we're told of what will lead to happiness. But what I found was that most people were just grinding out the day, working long, inefficient hours, trudging towards the weekend only to then numb out and blow off steam. And there really wasn't any joy and ease in their life. I personally managed to avoid these pitfalls of high achievers, in part because I was lucky enough to grow up with parents in an environment that prioritized health and happiness over material gain and career ladder achievements, but also because I made a second career out of learning effective methods of managing stress, dealing with pressure, understanding that when you're relaxed and happy, you're most productive and most creative, and you come up with solutions and you have forward momentum and positive momentum. And so I organized and designed my life around those qualities, and I studied under different mentors and advisors and took classes. Many of you know me from those times of going from one retreat to the next. I studied all the ancient and the current texts and worked under masters like Eckhart Tolle. So still, it wasn't easy. It's not easy to forge a healthy balance, not just in the way this world sells itself to us, but because we have the inner struggle as well of who we are and the things that we come into this life with, and then how to find balance and meaning within ourselves. But that's why I created this program. This is why we've all come together. What took me years and decades really to understand and fine tune, I'm able to relate and convey and teach others now. So you don't have to go through years of trial and error and all the suffering that comes with that. So we're all here to really learn and continue to learn. This being a student of life is perpetual, it's forever, so that we can really live our best life possible. So let's get started on what it really means to be a high achiever versus a top performer. You might have seen this in the emails that you signed up for, or on my website or somewhere else. If you clicked on an ad, what really distinguishes a high achiever from a top performer? So let's bring up that slide if we can. Okay. All right, high achievers versus top performers. And we'll look at the traits and see which ones resonate. So let's go to the first one. We've got outcome-orientedness and process-orientedness. You may be familiar with the outcome-orientedness because we all are sold this idea of chasing goals. And when we reach those goals, then we'll finally be happy. And we keep doing this. And then when we do, if we even reach goals, it doesn't usually last very long. We find ourselves back in the same position, and we're no more happy than before, but rather actually disappointed and wondering, well, was that it? And then we try again because we don't know any other way. No one teaches us. We're not told. versus a process orientedness, and that is to focus on what's happening right now. There's qualities of being open and flexible and seeing what is happening to us right now, and then engaging with that and finding meaning within that, within the process. We'll look at some of these details in the upcoming features here. But essentially, it's focusing on knowing you have a goal, but focusing on finding joy and meaning and collaboration, being a good listener, being a good mentor, I mean, a good team member. All of these things go into the process. And it doesn't matter. You may have achieved great things, but it sucked along the way. You didn't enjoy yourselves. You would rather not do it again. And that's a big sign of there's something out of whack there. So being more focused on the process of how are we going along, how are we spending our precious time on this planet together if you're working in the team or with yourself, because often our worst critic is inside of us. So that's being more focused on the process. Let's bring up the next one. Here we have similarly a reward focus. The goal is always promising this reward of happiness and fulfillment, and that's not where fulfillment lives. Fulfillment comes from the process. Again, what we just talked about. It's the day to day. It's the moment by moment. Do you experience joy or at least curiosity, looking forward to the next day? That's the quality of your life. If you're just focused on the end reward, you tend to justify abusing yourself, the stress, putting up with situations and conditions that are not as conducive to just well-being and experiencing a good life, and because you're always focused on that reward. Instead, if you're focused on fulfillment, then you're much more in tune with how you feel right now, and that's ultimately what matters. If anybody asks you how's life treating you, you'll always be reflecting on right now, what's going on today, essentially. And so if you focus on that process, make sure you're oriented towards fulfillment, that centers you in the now and it grounds you in a way that you can make better decisions ultimately, and the rewards will come. But there's a reward along the way in that you're enjoying yourself and you're expanding moment by moment. Let's move to the next one. Okay, these are the things that happen when you're goal focused and reward focused. You become very self-critical, because along with that outcome orientedness, you start to create an image in your head, a step-by-step plan of how things should be happening. And so that goes into control, and that leads to being self-critical, that you could be doing better because you have this idea of how it all should be unfolding. And life happens differently all the time. Anyone who's lived a few years can reflect on the past and go, well, my life happened very differently than planned, very differently than expected. And so we have to get used to that change. And when we're comfortable in that change, then there's a self-assuredness. It's a little different than just self-confidence. It's just there's a deeper trust in the process because you're connected to fulfillment. And from there, you're able to navigate moment by moment from a place of knowing that things are unfolding because you're in tune with the unfolding, as opposed to in resistance to it because you're trying to enforce your own process, own outcome. So let's move to the next one. So when you're always looking for the outcome, you essentially, as mentioned, you have this idea in your head of how things should be happening. So you're controlling, you're always seeing things as a reflection of not how they're happening, but how they're happening in relation to how you think they should be happening. And that's what puts you into that self-critical state. That's what puts you into being critical of others state, puts you into this controlling mindset, and ultimately you're in resistance. You're in resistance to what's happening because you think it should be happening differently. And that's a difficult and hurtful state to be in, is to constantly compare and constantly validate and constantly resist the things that are happening. Compare that to being flexible, where you're actually engaged, again, the process and the fulfillment of now and the trust that comes from that. And you're engaged, and there's flexibility in that you see opportunities that you would have otherwise not seen. You're open to creativity that often happens not from your plan, but it happens from just coincidences or moments that you didn't plan for. You're just observing as opposed to controlling. So there's great flexibility in that ability to observe and engage with what's in front of us and not be in a state of resistance to it. Let's bring up the next one. Yes, somebody in the chat mentioned always different from my imagination. It's a miracle that we get as far as we have, all of us, in kind of in this controlling, steering way, always chasing outcomes, because it never turns out the way we imagine, and then we get frustrated and upset, and then we try it again, because no one really has shown us a better way. But that's what we're here for. All right. Overthinking. This is also one of the traits of a high achiever. You're planning too much. You're overthinking too much. You're controlling too much. You want to figure it out in your head ahead of time so that, quote unquote, nothing can go wrong. This is a very different attitude and mindset to allowing things to unfold, being open to the process being organic, the fulfillment that comes from that experience, the trust in the process, and being flexible to new opportunities. All this keeps it simple ultimately. As a top performer, you're just flowing, and there's a simplicity to that flow, as opposed to the complexity of a high achiever mindset that is always trying to plan ahead of time, which is ultimately you're trying to predict the future. This is one of the funniest things. If I were to ask you flat out, can you predict the future? Your answer would be no, of course not. Nobody can. But yet that's how we all live. We're always trying to make this plan, a 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan, even, or the next project, and trying to control every step of the way. And that's not going to work. It's just life is, the nature of life is change. And so we're fighting a pretty big battle when we're trying to resist and that change. And much of that resistance and the energy burn comes from resisting things that have already happened. That's the other ludicrous behavior that, if we reflect on, it's a miracle we've gotten so far. We're in resistance to what has already happened. So if you think about that, nothing has ever changed in the history of all existence, that because you're in resistance to it, that it somehow becomes different. It's already happened. It's in the past. It's gone. And our resistance to it and our frustration to it is never going to change it. So even logically, we understand this. Rationally, we understand this. But still, we're conditioned to keep chasing those outcomes, keep trying to predict the future. And then we're in resistance to when things happen differently. All right. Next line item, the over-planning versus taking action in response. So we're always over-planning and then reacting to our situations, whereas as a top performer mindset is taking action and responding to what's in front of us. This is a very different experience. You're actually working with the conditions. You're collaborating with life as it's happening, as it's unfolding in front of us. And again, that's where creativity comes from the unknown. Creativity is not something that is already known, because then you're just repeating the old model. There's nothing new in that. There's no innovation in just working from knowledge. You have to be open to and flexible to the unknown. That's the source of true innovation and creativity, and joy and ease and flow. All the qualities that we're talking about that a top performer encompasses come from being in a state of responding to what's in front of us. All right, and the next one, please. As I just mentioned, the high achiever is constantly reactive because they're focused on the outcome, they're focused on the reward, they're being critical of themselves and everyone around us, and trying to control and steer and overplan and overthink. And that all puts you in a reactive state. Nobody wants to be in a reactive state. If you had the choice, of course, you would never want to be in a reactive state. It doesn't feel good. It drains your energy. You have a very myopic, very narrow view of life. You're kind of pulled into the minutia of every situation, and generally because you're upset that it's happening differently than you expected. And it's just everyone that I hear from with a few years of wisdom, they realize the greatest adversary to finding peace is this reactivity that we find ourselves in, and that we become hardwired by in our brains. These are literally nervous system structures that immediately react to something. And even when we know that it doesn't behoove us to react to something, we still do. So a lot of this practice of shifting from high achiever to top performer requires mindfulness and going within and really working on that reactivity to release that and come out of it. Otherwise, we're just slaves to our environment. Okay, and that takes us to the next. A lot of this high achiever trait is a mind-centric state, meaning we live in our heads. The controlling, the predicting, the over-planning, the anxiety and the guilt in the past, the projections to the future, these are all aspects of the mind. And when we're in our head like this and viewing and living life through this mental lens, it gets very bogged down, and we burn most of our energy on these aspects that we're seeing on the left side of the table here because we're so much in our head. And so a top performer, you can think of a performer who's into the performance, who's in their zone. It could be an athlete that we've observed. It could be a business person, or when you're presenting at work. Anything that you're doing, if you're actually in the moment, you're responding to circumstances, this is a heart-centric way of living. You have to be open to feeling things and coming from this passionate, connected place. And that is never the mind place. It's always the heart space. And living from there, everything feels better. There's many, many books written on how to keep your heart space open. Michael Singer's book, Untethered Soul, comes to mind. And these are the things, this is the place really from which we want to learn to live and take action from. Again, learning to relax and enjoy ourselves and flow with what's in front of us actually leads to greater efficiency, greater productivity. It helps us reach our goals sooner than we anticipated. Because we're not blocking ourselves with all this this mumbo jumbo and this complicatedness and complexity that we create when we're in this high achiever mindset, but rather the simplicity and the assuredness and the joy and the ease with which we're flowing as a top performer. That's the place we want to live from, we want to work from, we want to take action from. And one more, please. This is the ultimate one. Ultimately, if you really reflect on the traits of a high achiever, we're acting from fear. There is either fear or love. Those are ultimately the two places we can work from. And the fear of things not turning out the way we wanted them, the fear of the pressure that we've been conditioned by outside voices, is often well-meaning, our parents or our teachers telling us we should do this, we should do that. It creates this fear mindset that if we don't live up to those external expectations, that something's bad's going to happen, or we don't get the social credit that we feel we deserve. And it's a dark place to constantly be acting out of fear. This is where neurosis and our anxiety stems from. We're never really present. We're always either in the past or the future and missing out on life happening now. So to come out of that fear mindset and into the fearlessness of a top performer, where there is no space for fear to exist because you're responding to what's in front of us. You have that trust that things are unfolding the way they should, because it's not made up trust. You're engaged. You're just simply present and engaged. And in that state, there is no need to try and control things. You're not separate from the situation. You're engaged fully and immersed with the situation so that you're part of the unfolding. You're part of the solution. You're part of the opportunities that are showing up. Your energy is fully integrated into right now. And that's where the good stuff happens. Fear has no room there. It doesn't even come up. If it does, you can just notice it. And emotions should never be repressed. It's about allowing them to be, giving them space, but ultimately just being present will take care of a lot of those issues and the complexities that we deal with. All right, let's go to the summary slide. So this is what I find that most of my high achiever clients have in common. They're always teetering on the brink of burnout. We can all relate to that. They're inefficient and overworked. We're always just trying to make it to the weekend and then try to blow off steam. There's a general lack of joy and a meaninglessness and a lack of real purpose in life. And that's a sad picture. It's not meant to be a downer, but it's meant to be, these are the opportunities to self-reflect and become more aware of how we're living. And high achievers accomplish things. I went through my resume at the start of this, and I'm at the top of the high achiever list. And yet that's not what brings joy. It's how you go about your day to day, how you live, the lens through which you live life. Is it that mental lens, or is it the heart space lens? Are you living from fear, or are you living from love? So let's switch to the top performer summary. Top performers know that failure isn't final, right? That everything is an evolution. It's always a learning opportunity. There's a lesson in everything. And in that presence of accepting things as a lesson, there can be unexpected opportunities. Too many times, if you just start doing something and allow it to go whichever route it wants to, you'll see opportunities. It takes on a life of its own, and then you're a co-creator with whatever you're doing. Top performers also know when to stay and when to go, right? So how to set boundaries or when to engage. They also know when to say yes and when to say no. There's nothing wrong with saying no. There's nothing wrong with removing yourself from a situation. If it doesn't resonate, make the necessary changes. That can mean taking no action. It can mean stepping away. So there's no shame in that. Your utmost goal is to practice self-care. A top performer knows that you can only help others if you help yourself. You can only free others if you free yourself. You can only change others and become a mentor once you've moved through and really healed the things within yourself. Otherwise, you're still wounded and you won't be able to help others with those issues. And there's great opportunity in the challenges that we overcome, in that they become our calling. The things that we work through become the things that we are experts at. It's not the things that come easy to us. It's the things that we've had to battle and work through, and that then we know how to work through those situations and can help others who are in the same spot. A top performer also knows when times are tough, this too shall pass, right? You've heard that saying before. It's being clued into the evolution, the unfolding of things that makes you recognize, well, everything is constantly changing. When you're open and flexible, again, all these top performer traits, you become more aware that nothing is final, that even if there's a tough spot, that it too will pass as everything does, and that you just have to find a solution to get through it. You will always get through it. There is no permanent state of despair. It doesn't exist. And so to learn to flow with greater ease is more important than insistence on what you want to have happen and resistance to when things happen differently. Most of our energy is burnt on, like I said, resisting what's already happened, which is the most useless application of our energy, but rather see what's there, accept it, and then take action. The first step to change is to accept things as they are. There's no sense in resisting it and wanting it to be different. It's already happened. So change happens from acceptance, but that doesn't mean complacency. It means a baseline from which you can take action clearly without burning energy on any form of resistance. Because when you're in resistance, when you're in reactivity, you can't see the situation clearly. You're in reaction to it. So come out of that reactivity so you can see what's there accept what's there, and then from there you can go into a place of action. All right. So you can see, looking at this slide, how the high achievers traits are the main source for our difficulties in life. It has less to do with our environment. We tend to blame others, and we're always pointing to what's outside of us, that it's not making us feel so good, or it's getting in the way of our plans and all those things. But rather to move into the top performer state, where we're like water, we're flowing, the great Bruce Lee quote. We're responding to what is, we're clued into and recognizing the path of least resistance. And that's how we move through situations. It could be the little things, like somebody cutting you off in traffic. It's what's the path of least resistance, is to avoid, swerve to avoid if you have to, and then get back on your track and your lane and keep looking forward. There's no sense in what's happened. You've avoided an accident. Now you're back on track to where you needed to go, and just stay focused on that. Easier said than done. You have to retrain your brain in order to come out of that reactivity. Because even if you hear it, I'm saying it, and it makes sense, rationally it makes sense, you still have to feel it to believe it. You have to put in the work to change that, which these behavioral patterns that you're used to. So the real question then is, how do you become unstuck? And how do you come out of this hardwired reactivity? How do you come out of reacting to what is essentially, you're reacting to the sensation of these situations? You're not reacting to the situations themselves. Situations, we interpret them and they make us feel a certain way. And then we react to feeling that way. And that's what sums up reactivity and how to come out of it. That's what we're here to do. So this is when we move into the next 10 or 15 minutes exercise. I'm going to go off screen again so that you have complete privacy and are not distracted by looking at me. I'm going to take you through an exercise that will help us become unstuck and release any of that energy that may be in there somewhere, that is at the source of repeating old patterns. So with that said, let's bring up the exercise slide, please. Go ahead and grab your journals or pen and paper if that's what you have. Great to see some of the chat comments. Yes, I'm happy that you're here as well. No one can cut me off in traffic if I let them in. Wow, that's great. All right. For the next 5 minutes, I want you to sit back into a comfortable position. Let's take a deep, long, conscious breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Doing this with you. One more time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. So from here, please grab your journal. Make sure there's no distractions around you. Possibly put on your headphones. Now, I want you to think of a recent interaction that you felt triggered by. It could be an incident with a friend, a family member, a coworker, a random person on the street, a neighbor, somebody or someone who really annoyed you, maybe even pissed you off. It could even be something you yourself had planned, like going to the gym or taking care of to-do items, but you wound up slacking for some reason, or something else came up and now you're upset at yourself. So much of our criticism and our reactivities towards ourselves and what we've been conditioned by. So let's take the next 5 minutes and really reflect on that one experience. We all have something that triggered us recently that we're still carrying around with us. And spend this time to write down your experience and what you felt in that moment. So let's begin. All right, a few more seconds to finish up your journaling. All right. Now I want you to put down your pen, and we're going to sit as upright as you feel comfortable. And let's close our eyes. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. They are simple questions. You will answer them only to yourself. You can do this silently in your head or out loud if you have privacy. No one on this call here can hear you. Do your best not to analyze or judge or explain what you're experiencing. You can analyze things later. For now, simply follow along. Listen to my voice. Should any feeling of discomfort arise, simply notice it and then come back to my voice. If the discomfort ever gets too intense, it usually doesn't, but know you can always open your eyes or go back to your calming breath, which I will describe. Now, let's focus on your body and locate the sensation from feeling triggered by the incident you wrote about. It could be in your stomach area, lots of emotions live there. It could be in your chest, maybe from past heartache. Or maybe it's in your throat from when you didn't speak up and you were supposed to. It could even be a sensation in your head from all the pressure you live with. Simply scan your body and notice where you feel activated, where you feel that trigger. If you can't find the sensation at first, just keep scanning until you locate where that feeling triggered lies. Know that you're always doing your best, and there's no right or wrong, no true or false. There's only the reality of your experience within the framework of your body. A few more seconds to locate that stuck feeling. Now, with your fullest attention, focus on that sensation and answer the following questions. Is it a broad simmering sensation or more of a concentrated pinpoint one? Answer silently or out loud. Next question. Is the overall appearance of the sensation fluffy or is it more dense? Observe your sensation and answer the question. Can you tell what the boundaries are of the sensation? Can you see the edges of it? At the top, the bottom, along the sides? How far does it extend? Can you look around the sides, in fact, as if it's three-dimensional? See if you can look around the sides. Now, I want you to zoom into the surface. What does it look like? Is it flat, jagged, bubbly, something else altogether? Describe the surface. Examine it closely. Does it have a color? If not, keep observing the surface. But if it does, is this color consistent or are there different shades of it? Observe the sensation. Keep observing, noticing any changes, any activity. Do this for another 30 seconds. Now notice if there's any movement, any motion. Is there somewhere this energy wants to go? If not, just keep observing it. But if yes, follow the direction it wants to go. See where it takes you. Do this for another 30 seconds. Now zoom out again and examine the area where you originally located the sensation. Has the area changed? Is the sensation more intense or less intense? Can you even still see it? If the sensation has changed or is more intense, keep observing it. For those who can no longer locate it, what do you see in its place? Do this for 30 seconds. Now gradually bring your attention back to your breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. When you feel ready, you may gradually open your eyes. Take a minute to notice your environment. Notice yourself in your environment. Notice the energy in your body. Notice your aliveness. Let's take another minute to just be still. And if you feel like entering anything into the chat, a few words of how you feel, or if you want to share anything that came up for you, now is the time. All right. So great work, everyone. Just to explain what we did there and how it works. What was keeping those feelings stuck was your instant resistance to feeling them. But what we did here is we engaged with those feelings in an unbiased way. We observed them in their characters and their traits without judging ourselves, without pushing them away if they're unpleasant, and also not without clinging if they're pleasant. So this allowed the intensity to decrease, and even if it increased for some of you, I saw in the chat, it eventually will decrease again. The increase might happen initially because now the feeling is allowed to surface. It's actually allowed to express itself fully. But as we saw, as one of the key top performer traits, is this too will pass. The nature of life is ongoing change. So if we give our feelings the space to be, then they will arise and they will pass. They will come and they will go. And this is a key top performer trait. This is a key to getting into the flow. It's a key to being present and engaged and connected to your environment and your own feelings, is allow things to flow through you. And as life flows through you, you start to flow with life. And becoming unstuck is really the first step in this InnerPower program. It helps you come out of reactivity and clears your energy, helps you come out of your head and into your body. That's where we make better decisions from. That's where our inner truth lies, a truth that doesn't clash with the truth of others. It's just your deeper knowing. So you no longer have to look outside of yourself to compare yourself and what do others think about you. Your inner truth is just a rock solid foundation. It's your blueprint. And from that, you start to live life in a more meaningful, connected way. And that's where your greater purpose starts to emerge from. So once you get to approaching life as a top performer, it paves the way to not just live a better life moment to moment, but your true purpose of what you're here to do starts to reveal itself. And there's no greater experience than to be the person you're meant to be. Like I said, this is just the beginning of the InnerPower program. I can show you, let's bring up the graphic of the 5 pillars, so to speak. And that will give you a nice overview as to what's all involved and what you will benefit from if you join our InnerPower community private group. That's where we do workshops like this, live Q&As with me, other inspirational content. So as you can see here, the 5 pillars of InnerPower, it really begins with inner clarity, which is what we just practiced. Really coming out of reactivity by releasing these sensations, these feelings that are stuck inside of us from constantly reacting to things, from constantly judging things. And when we can start to release these things, then we see a situation for what it is. We see it clearly, and then we can take clear action. But as long as we're reactive and feeling triggered, then we're at the mercy of our environment for how we feel. And so creating that inner clarity is the first step to be able to take clear action. And that leads to a type of inner peace, of just being in the flow and being okay with things as they roll. Let's move over to inner peace. You see it? And the natural progression, once you're at peace, once you've come out of reactivity, and this is all gradual, it's not an on-off switch, but with each 5% less reactivity, you'll feel greater peace. And all that eventually leads to a heightening of your frequency, because our natural state is to be high vibrating. It's to be in love with life. And it's only attaching ourselves to various thoughts, self-critical thoughts, and controlling and steering life, and all of the stuff we talked about, that we've been achieving things as high achievers, but it's been burning us out. So as we release that internal pressure, our natural mood starts to lift, and we experience this inner joy. And there's nothing greater and more creative than living from this place of joy. And what happens then is, as you become more free to really live your life and live your truth, this life of passion starts to just reveal itself. And this inner fire that you have to do something with your life, be proactive, create forward momentum, not always reactive and numbing out on the weekends to try to survive and get to the next week, but rather this taking life by the horns, if you will. And that's when we feel like we're actually collaborating and taking action in a way that is meant to be, as opposed to just trying to fix problems all the time, fix ourselves, or come out of difficult situations. And from this, eventually, the greater purpose starts to arise, as mentioned. We clear ourselves, we become more healthy and quiet and at peace. That leads to a lifting of our mood. We get into a state of joy. Then our passion, our inner fire starts to unfold. And then boom, we're there. We have our inner purpose. We're staring it in the face, and it wants us to step up. And our true calling is not necessarily one of it's never easy, and it's never just simple. It calls us to it. we are asked to grow and step into a bigger shell. So it's not meant to be just a walk in the park. Your purpose, your true calling is going to be something that you have to do. You know you will do it because there is nothing else you'd rather be doing. There is nothing else worth your time and that fits who you are better than when your blueprint starts to merge and tells you this is what I'm supposed to do. So, and with that, this was the Inner Power program. If you saw the link in the bottom, you can feel free to join. There's a 14-day free trial. There's lots of content like this. There's weekly workshops just like this that focus on different parts of your body. Before we go to the testimonials, just go back to me, please. So with that, I want to thank you all for participating. You showed a lot of courage. You made time in your day, either on a Sunday if you're in the Western Hemisphere, or on a Monday morning in the Eastern Hemisphere. You're doing something for yourself. This is already moving yourself into the top performer category, and you notice that there's change that needs to happen. And this is one of the places where you can get that change. I saw a few questions in the chat around, what are the traits and routines of top performers? We have the InnerPower community exactly for that. It's a support network, an ongoing home for tips and tricks and inspirational content, and a support network of like-minded. That's so important. I was very much alone in my journey early on, and one of the difficult parts was not feeling like anyone understood me, that I wasn't heard or seen. And from that, the desire to create an environment that is safe and supportive grew, and again, a challenge that then leads to your greater purpose. So I want to thank you all. Many of the questions I'm not able to answer here in the chat just now, but if you join the Inner community, we'll have live Q&As there, and so we can interact more directly and on a more regular basis, and we'll walk this path together. So thank you, everyone, for your presence. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day, rest of your weekend, or into the new week, and we'll see you next time. Ali, please close it out.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to be present with us today. And it looks like the winner. First winner is Stephen G. Second winner, Carolee, and then Laura Ann. So the team will be in touch with you guys on what the prizes are. We also have a special announcement. We've launched the InnerPower community that Chris referred to. So there is where you can connect with like-minded individuals and deepen some of this learning. There's Q&As, there's the inspirational content, some movement, energy clearing workshops like this one. So there should be a link below that's been popping up if you want more details. And if you want to dive in deeper, you can schedule a private consultation for coaching with Chris, and you can either, there should be a link below, or you can reach out on the website to book that discovery call. And a really big thank you to Chris for sharing his knowledge and leading us through this workshop today. Let's continue to learn, to grow, and support one another on this amazing journey. So take care, and we will see you next time. Bye.